we don't know what's going to happen in the future. It's very much an art form. But right now, you have that opportunity to pitch it out to the running back and get it out now before you take a chance what you're forced to do in the future. And also in the future might be good potentially. When was it George Steinbrenner died? It was the $100 million limit.
2010, he died $350 million estate. That 2010 was the throw mama from the train year, because if they died that year, there was no estate tax. Steinbrenner was mentioned in the news, but the biggest one was this guy down in Texas. He was an oil guy, and I think at the time he was the 14th wealthiest man in the world. Again, this is 2010, and I believe it was a $19 billion estate that he had. His family saved $10 billion, $8 billion. That's with a B in taxes just because he died that year. Now, one of the other things, though, that happened in 2010 is that stepped up basis went away, right? When you receive an asset at death, you get it with a clean tax base. So you could say sell it the next day and not have any capital gains tax to pay. But in 2010, when they said you can pass everything estate tax free, if you took that option, it had carryover basis. You had to take, in essence, what your parents' basis was in it. But look, if I can save a 50% estate tax and pay 25% capital gains tax or whatever it was back then, you're certainly going to take the second option. There's give and take, but why that's important now is this is all cyclical, and we're seeing this stuff come back, right? They're wanting to get rid of stepped up basis at death. They're talking about this, right? At death, whatever your basis in and your assets are as you pass them to your kids, they pass to the kids, and so they're going to pay capital gains tax at some point on all of those assets. Now, I think that's going to be a tougher tax law to pass because everybody has to deal with that. The average inheritance is $177,000, and most of it consists of primary real estate, primary residences. And there's no child that's going to want to inherit mom and dad's house without the ability to sell it the next day tax free. The estate tax, again, it doesn't affect most people. Even if it goes back to $3.5 million, most people don't have $7 million net worth. But you have to also consider, like I said earlier, all of the assets. I glossed over this, but I want to touch on it, pretty quickly. Life insurance. Prior to going into law school in 99, I was a life insurance agent, right? And the three most hated professions in the world are attorneys, life insurance agents, and used car salesmen. My best friend's a used car salesman, so I hit all three in some way. One of the selling points of life insurance is that it's not subject to tax. And I have a $5 million life insurance policy on my life, and my wife's the beneficiary, and I die, she gets $5 million completely income tax free. The only reason for that really is because the insurance companies have this really strong lobby in Congress, and they've been able to carve out the definition of income to include life insurance death benefit. That's it. It's the only reason. The issue, though, is that my wife would now have $5 million of cash as part of her estate. And now, is there an estate tax problem? So how to plan for that life insurance death benefit becomes a big one. Anyway, I don't want to, that's a much more kind of static tax issue. And it's definitely something that can be dealt with, but there is a small window of opportunity that could be going away.
So you close that portion out, right? I think it's important for folks to be aware of this stuff and understand it because things are going to change. And in the very end, you may just be stuck. It just may be how the times are, but there may be opportunities to do that wildcat offense, the ball to the right.
Well, we're all stuck, right? It's the way the times are. And we're just going to have to live through it. Now, again, I'm not coming from any kind of political side on this. I just, as a tax attorney, I hate paying taxes. I pay my fair share and all of those kind of things. But, and by the way, if you ever work with a tax attorney that likes taxes, you're working with the wrong attorney. But the point is that there really are planning techniques that can put you in control and you in power of what happens with your legacy at your death.